Y'all know me. I get so excited about these live shows that hardly ever wait. I hardly ever wait till it's actually 9 or 10 o'clock. So I get too excited. So it's 8 minutes, but I do have a plan behind this. It's 8 minutes till 10 o'clock, and we all know the buffer zone is coming. So I'm hoping starting the show, this far before 10 o'clock, maybe we'll be through the buffer zone by 10 o'clock. That would be that would be awesome. But I'm not counting on that because it seems to happen every single time. So if y'all can bear with me, first 10-ish minutes, sometimes a little bit longer. It's a little choppy. I'm trying to figure it out, guys. I really am. But the problem is I have bad Wi-Fi here. I run off my hotspot, but sometimes that's not reliable. So we'll see how it goes. How's everybody doing this evening? So far, we have Ronzi Nation, who declares first. Then we have Reese. Good old Mikey. That's one of my favorite screen names so far. Ballard Sports Media is in the house. Of course, my good friend Joey Foster, and happens to be my sponsor. And, of course, Pizza Woman in the house. How y'all doing? Thanks for stopping by. Let me know how bad I'm buffering. I'm sure I am. I might actually check it out real quick. Made sure the volume was down. Alright, let's see. It looks like so far so good. I don't want to jinx myself, but it seems like we're doing alright. Still checking. A little bit of buffering. I'm seeing a little bit of buffering, but not much. Alright, so hopefully we're good. So, I'm doing, dadgummit. Yep, video's glitching again, guys. That sucks. Alright, so I'm building up to the big live show that I'm having on Saturday. So I've been trying to figure out a surefire way to keep this from buffering, and I've come up with a plan. So what I'm going to do for the actual show with Mark Rogers, I'm actually going to go over to my parents' house. It's going to be on a Saturday night, this Saturday night. They have excellent Wi-Fi over there. So I'm gonna go over there and use their Wi-Fi, do my show in the proverbial parents' basement. Yes, you will actually be able to troll me and say, you live in your parents' basement. That show is in your parents' basement. That show actually will be in my parents' basement because of bad Wi-Fi here. Now, for my live videos, this works great because I have unlimited data, and that's what it uses to upload my videos. It's the live shows that take a hit. So yeah, I take a hit that way. Another announcement. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday, I'm gonna be on Uncle Lou's show. So if you don't usually check him out, or you do check him out, I'll be there tomorrow. Me and Lou always have a good time, and Pizza Woman is headed over to Lunch Money, I understand. I try not to compete with anybody, but this week is different. I'm trying to build up to Saturday. Hopefully we're going to... And last night, I don't know what the actual explanation as to why the show went down. A lot of people are saying it was YouTube. Not sure. I was fine on my end. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, viewers went down to 0, and everything just stopped. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened last night, but something stupid happened. So, I don't know. To me, it seems like it. Whatever you can think of, if it's stupid, it can happen to me, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. So, I'm really hoping that, that doesn't happen again this evening. Here in just a few minutes, I am going to open up the phone lines. Not yet. Hold on. I don't really have a script for tonight, but there was a couple of things that I want to talk to that I want to talk about that I think everybody can relate to. Yeah, I am lagging. It sucks. Still trying to figure out how to get that to stop, but I don't know. So, the two things that I want to talk about, I did a video on one of them, but I haven't done a video on the other. The first thing is the teams that I think are going to be bounce back massively this time, and teams that used to be longer powerhouses, how far away are they from being a powerhouse again? And teams that went through a long stretch of not being a powerhouse, that they used to be a powerhouse, and now they are a powerhouse. So things go in cycles. So I want to talk about the cycle of the powerhouse. So I can see your comments if that's what you're asking, Wisconsin sports fan. Yeah, I can. So I wanted to talk about the cycle of the powerhouse. Now, there are some programs that are more consistent than others, but everybody goes through cycles, recruiting cycles. I'm going to call this the powerhouse cycle. So the names that pop into my head as far as used to be powerhouses and that are no longer powerhouses. Teams like Nebraska, big one right off the top of my head. USC. Now they're better. They're getting there, but not quite. Tennessee. Yikes. Florida. They're competitive. They did win the SEC about like winning national championships. Florida State. Dadgum. They won like 20 some straight. I think it was like 23, maybe more. It was close to 30 straight. Michigan. Ugh. Texas. I don't know what the deal with Texas is. I don't really ever know in my lifetime of a long stretch where they were just flat out amazing. I know they won that title in the early 2000s with McCoy, but no, it wasn't McCoy. It was Vince Young. My bad. Close with McCoy. But besides that little bitty stretch, not much else to talk about with Texas other than we're back all the time. And then Oregon, they had a stretch where they were really, really good. I guess West Virginia could fit in there, but we've never been a powerhouse. We had I don't know, maybe a decade of, pretty good, but I wouldn't label us as a powerhouse. So those are the big names right off the top of my head. Maybe y'all think of some other names that I missed that used to be powerhouses that we can talk about. And then the other category are teams that are known as powerhouses but did go through a stretch where they were not, but they're back where they need to be now. The first one, of course, Alabama. Alabama had a long drought. People forget that because of how dominating they have been recently. But Alabama did go through a drought. So, it happens to everybody. Another team, Notre Dame, they had a big drought. Now, they haven't won titles recently, but they've been playoffs. I know they get, blasted when they get to the playoffs, but getting to the playoffs is a big deal. Ohio State, they went through a stretch there for a while. Over 40 years since they've won their last national championship, but they've been pretty dominant recently, recruiting at a very high level. So I would put them in that category. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to get you guys' opinion on whoever you're a fan of. How far away do you think that your particular team is from being a powerhouse? Do you think it's close? Do you think it's, this year, knocking on the door? Do you think maybe you're a decade away? You think maybe you're just one recruiting cycle away? Something like that? One decision away? One good decision away? I want to get your guys' input because there's one thing that I've figured out as a sports YouTuber, and that's fan bases have different perspectives. We all forget that we live in this little box of our fandom, and we don't know how other fan bases think. that's why I want to get y'all's opinion on your particular team and how far you think your team is from dominance, like winning titles, or at least being in the conversation year after year after year. I think the teams that fit that category right now, Alabama, of course, Clemson, and Ohio. Hold on, guys. Golden Blue Dude here. What's up?
Yes, sir, Golden Blue Dude. This is Tiger Baskins. I have your delivery of 4 cheeseburgers and 3 salads from Wendy's. I'm at the front door.
You were supposed to be here an hour ago. What happened?
Yeah, the salad is hot, but if you put it in the fridge, it will get cold again.
And
but it still might make it sick.
And what about the food that's supposed to be hot?
I put it on the hood, on the engine, so it is still hot.
You're a smart delivery guy. Late, but smart. I appreciate it.
What's up, big dog? What you up to?
Not much, man. So the thing that I brought up this evening was the teams that used to be dominating that have gone through a stretch that are no longer dominating. And by the same token, teams that did go through a stretch of not being dominating, they're there right now. I know you're a Georgia fan. What category would you put Georgia in right now?
Okay, so explain. Give me a little more detail to that question.
All right.
What do you mean?
All right, so whenever I say dominating, I mean either winning a national championship or in the conversation of, getting to the playoffs, being in the playoffs, having a chance to win the national championship. Now, my personal opinion for Georgia is they're close, but I wouldn't quite put them in that category right this second. But this year could change that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think until they win one, you can't. You can't put them in the conversation.
Okay.
Just saying that they're just a national championship team, blah blah blah. But I think what proved to me, and away from the Disney dogs that think we're going to win every year,
Yeah.
I think what put them in that conversation for me was we played Alabama with Jake Fromm, whose skill level is better at catching bass and catfish than it is at playing quarterback, and Stetson Bennett, who has a real handicap sign he gets to hang on his rearview mirror because he's a legal midget. Mm-hmm. We only beat Bama with those 2 quarterbacks. And now we finally have an above-average quarterback who's getting looked at to be drafted high, not in the 6th round or the 47th round. So my expectations do go up a good bit. I know George Pickens got hurt, but watching Arik Gilbert's highlights, he's a little slower than George Pickens. But at the end of the day, when you're in the red zone, nobody cares how fast you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally throw it up and the receiver goes and gets it. So we have speedy guys. I know that's not a problem, but I think for us, we are in the conversation of Clemson, of Alabama. I think we're better than Ohio State. I know Ohio State has been there more recent than we have, but no offense to Ohio State, I think we have 10 times the talent they do.
So you're talking about right now, right, this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think right now, I think Alabama is right under Alabama and Clemson, and I don't see anybody else above Georgia. I think Georgia's third on that list. But,
What about Oklahoma? What about Oklahoma?
If Oklahoma didn't have such a crappy playoff record, you could put them up there.
That's fair. That is fair. I'm just.
I mean, I think Oklahoma has a great coaching staff. I actually love Lincoln Riley.
Yes.
But after seeing them crap the bed so many times, but seeing Georgia take Alabama toe-to-toe 70-80% of the time, it's like, and with Oklahoma having, what was it, like 4 or 5 players arrested for robbing some old lady in a wheelchair that can't see? Come on now.
I don't. The wheels have come off a little bit in that scenario.
Yeah, the wheels came off that wheelchair when they broke in her house.
Okay, I'm gonna throw another name out there. What about Notre Dame?
And this isn't even about the whole, their playoff record. I think Notre Dame, because of them not being in a conference, that has kind of ruined whatever stature that they used to have. And now with the way that the playoffs and all that and how that's kind of started and how, the teams are starting to expand, I think Uncle Lou hit the nail on the head perfect. It doesn't matter if they go undefeated. Because they don't have a conference championship, they will never be able to be in the top four.
I think they were exposed last year for that, too, because they were in a conference for the first time ever, and they choked in the they didn't just choke, they got handled in the championship game against Clemson. We all knew that was going to happen, too.
Yeah, agreed. And that's the thing is they picked one of the worst conferences to try because, yeah, you can say, well, the lower half of the conference is terrible, but let's be honest. Clemson is a powerhouse, and Notre Dame does not need to be playing them. They should have joined the Pac-12 or the Big 12. I don't know. I thought their choice was terrible, but then again, it's Notre Dame. I think they have lived off of the history for as long as you can. And it's just time for them either to step up or just stop playing football and just have church every day of the week. I don't know.
I think the thing with last year is, and I really think this was their mindset. I think Notre Dame thought that they could get an easy conference championship by joining the ACC, and maybe they could get lucky and beat Clemson and then say, see, we can win a conference championship. I really do think that was part of the mindset.
Yeah. No, I agree because they were trying to prove everybody wrong because everybody's been talking crap this whole time, and then they stepped in they bit off more than they could chew. I'll say that.
Yeah. Hold on, guys. I'm going to lower this mic. All right, there we go.
Oh, is it a little loud?
No, that it was too high up on me.
Got you. Okay.
So, yeah, I think Notre Dame thought that the ACC was the easiest conference in the nation. Personally, I think it's the Pac-12. Maybe close, but I think they thought it was easy pickings and that they could beat Clemson or maybe get lucky and beat Clemson and then, of course, say, hey, we proved y'all wrong. We can win a conference championship. Sit down and shut up. And what happened? It completely backfired on them. And they got – and, I had a feeling that Notre Dame could beat Clemson on that particular night because, number one, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. But I will say that DJ Uiagalelei had a heck of a coming-out party. But Clemson was also missing some very key players on their defense. So I thought that win was not worth really much at all whenever they beat Clemson.
No, agreed. And I guess two things. One, to go back to J&J Outlaw, I agree with him completely. He's saying, it's Kirby's fault that he didn't start Justin Fields or, JT Daniels over the quarterbacks at the time. I agree. And I think that's where Georgia hasn't been able to be in that conversation. But when he finally brought JT Daniels out, we as Georgia fans got to see that when the run game does not work, we can finally win with the pass. And that was the only thing that was keeping us from being a national championship team. Two, you said it, I think you said it the other day. I know for sure that DJ is going to be a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
But getting to see him last year, I think it proved that the same way that West Virginia's defensive back coach and D coordinator can create good talent, Dabo Swinney can create good talent at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that blew my mind, dude. Just how he's a unit. He's freaking huge and can throw the ball 100 miles an hour, but he also has touch.
Dude, you hit the nail right on the head. A lot of these quarterbacks can sling it, but they don't have that touch. We see a funny comment in the comments. Jacob Watson says DJ Watt, as in his last name. Funny story about DJ Uiagalelei. First of all, I had to look it up and made sure. You can literally look players' names up, and it has like a voice clip of, this is how you pronounce their name. So I found that clip, and I practiced it like 20 times a day. So I can say it fairly easily now, but I'm telling you, at first, that is a very daunting name to say, DJ Uiagalelei. But once you get it down, it's not that bad.
I told Pete that I would try to announce it if Clemson beat Georgia. That I would try my best to really learn it and announce it. But for now, he's ukulele.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to break this down for you, okay? So, it's actually really easy if you think about it. So, we have DJ Uwe, like you're saying Uwe. Uwe Ungalale. Uwe Ungalale. Uwe Ungalale.
I definitely feel that I can say it, but I'm not going to give anybody the satisfaction except Pete. Because if they beat us, I know he's going to be looking forward to it.
That's fair.
So I'll practice it in front of the mirror.
Yeah, I was trying to give you some a way to practice it. I think that's how I practice it. If you break it down and then put it together, I think that's the best way to practice that name. There's some crazy names, and whenever I started doing my predictions, I was messing up names bad. It got to the point where I put a disclaimer in my videos. I said I probably will mispronounce some names. It's gonna happen. Get over it. Especially when you start doing predictions for West Coast teams, like that Thibodeau guy, and different other names. It's just they're spelled so. Now, it's easy to say once you know it, but when you're looking at the spelling, you're like Thibodex, Thibodeau. You know, you just don't know until you actually look it up. So, I think next year's prediction videos are going to be much better because this year was a lot of trial and error. So, already looking forward to next year. How about that?
Well, and I will say, I know that, like I said, I know I'm a Georgia fan, and I know you just asked about it, but I do want to hear some of these people in the comments. I want to know who are their favorite teams.
Exactly.
Like, I told you before, like I love college football, so if anybody in here, like, tell us your favorite team. I'd love to talk about. We'll start with Wisconsin. How about that?
Yep, we got Wisconsin fan in the house. Let's go.
Yes. So watching Wisconsin last year, y'all forever have had good quarterback development because you guys run an NFL pro-style offense. So seeing you guys get 4-star after 4-star, they're obviously doing something right there because you constantly send them to the league. Starting with Andrew Luck, maybe even before that, you constantly sent players to the league. And y'all are pretty good at developing running backs. And I think that's the big thing is having a good quarterback-running back combo is what keeps Wisconsin at the top of their conference.
Yep.
And their offensive line. I know they're good with the offensive line. The only way that Wisconsin gets over that hump, they have got to go out and get a real defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
I think they need to improve their wide receiving core. I don't think it's bad. It's they do have talent, but whenever I look at Wisconsin wide receiving core and it's a year after year thing, it's like they'll be okay, but I don't see any wide receivers that you're like, oh man, this guy is super dangerous. Nobody ever pops out.
You're right. They're Georgia when Georgia had Mark Richt as a coach.
Yes.
When we were signing 2- and 3-star receivers. No, dude, that is a perfect example. Wisconsin is on the verge of being a good team, but until they start signing top 100 receivers, this was another thing about Mark Richt. People can say he's a good guy all day long. You don't get paid to be a good guy. You get paid to be a good coach.
Exactly.
So, Mark Richt in his last 5 years at Georgia did not sign a top 100 ranked offensive lineman. Can you imagine that? Mark Richt playing Alabama, playing all these teams, beating Florida, and not signing top 100 linemen. Kirby comes in, and he doesn't sign a guy out of the top 10.
Hey, hold on. Tiger, hold my beer for a second. We got Brick Simmons in the comments section. Is this the clown who said West Virginia's going 11-1? Sir, I don't know where you got that from. I never said West Virginia was going 11-1. In fact, my prediction for West Virginia was either 9-3 or 8-4. Try to go back and watch that FPI video again 10 times in a row and try to really comprehend it because obviously you did not comprehend it. Back to you, Tiger.
You think maybe he was talking about me? If he was, buddy, I haven't given a prediction on that. But, yeah, I think that's where Georgia, Kirby Smart has definitely made me happy as a Georgia fan is he's brought this standard that it's almost like the Booster Club just got out of the way.
Mm.
You know, they stopped being able to control. They stopped being able to do this and that. And he was like, look, I'm going to do what I want to do. So Kirby Smart's definitely a real one. And I feel like Wisconsin is that one coach away, whether it's a D coordinator, a DB coach, even a head coach. I love their coach now, but it just seems like they have plateaued, and they've been that way for the last 10 years. So
yeah. And that's a good point. A lot of people don't realize how much boosters play a part of things. Like that's a big behind-the-scenes thing. That's a big factor that people just don't realize. And sometimes you just wish they would just step out of the way and let what needs to be done. Yes, you gave us money. We appreciate it. It allowed us to upgrade our facilities, etc. But you know, you don't. That doesn't mean you can make football decisions.
And see, I know that I'm not on that big of a scale. Like, I'm definitely not a college football coach, but everybody in the comment section, I'd had a talk with Glass, and I kind of told him, because I coach different teams, like right now I coach a middle school softball team.
You know that's me, bro, right? You know that's me, right?
What?
I'm Golden Blue, dude.
I know. I was telling the comment section.
Oh, my bad. I was like, what in the world's going on here? Continue. Sorry, I got confused.
I'm referring to you in third person, but
Gotcha.
I was telling him, guys, you know, I have to tell my parents, don't, you know, it's nothing personal if I don't like your Facebook post or your Instagram post, or I don't, you know, conversate with you on, you know, on social media. I never want there to be a possibility of politics playing a role in why your kid plays or they don't play.
Right.
I want it to show on the field. I want it to show on practice. And that's where I've learned from people like Kirby Smart and, you know, even Jeremy Pruitt, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney. Like, these guys have proved if you take the Booster Club out of it and you tell them what you're going to do and you do it good, they'll shut the hell up. They
exactly. Because, and for whatever reason, some of these boosters with their kids, they don't realize it's not about one person. It's about the team. These decisions are affecting the entire team and entire fan base. And it's not that we don't wish success for your kid. It's if your kid doesn't have the talent, we're not going to give him playing time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And that's a good way to put it. Like, I'd rather say your kid doesn't get playing time because they show up to practice half the time or they give half the effort, instead of somebody going, well, I see you like so-and-so's Facebook post all the time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just don't even want to mingle with that.
Right.
I'd rather, I like what I do, and I like coaching and all, and I never want it to be politics. But
right.
Yeah, let's hit the next one. Who else has got
LSU, man? I saw LSU guy in here.
Ooh, LSU is such a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because you literally went from being the best team in the nation to one of the worst teams in the SEC. Now, granted, you will not be terrible for long. I know that. But with Arik Gilbert transferring away from you,
Ooh.
you don't have a star receiver. You don't have a go-to. I mean, that's literally all I have to say. I know their DC is decent, blah, blah, blah. They gave up explosive plays. I know that, but they only had one true receiver. The other one sat out and went straight to the draft.
Yeah. What do you think about their quarterback situation?
They have quarterbacks from the last couple of years that came on. They had a few signed when Joe Burrow did really well.
Yeah.
But I do not believe that they develop quarterbacks really well because their track record doesn't show it. Joe Burrow was a transfer. Like, it's
That's
not
true.
like Joe Burrow was there for 2 or 3 years and then they made him good. He was already good. Just like JT Daniels. JT Daniels was at USC. He got hurt after the second game in his second year, started as a freshman, and USC decided they were going to start the other guy. Well, what a dumb decision that was, because now we have him. In his first game with Georgia, after a year and a half of not playing, he threw for 400 yards against Mississippi State. Like,
oh, yeah.
The last quarterback Georgia has had that threw for 400 yards was Aaron Murray.
Oh, yes, I remember him. And here's the thing with Eric Gilbert. I think that actually, I'm not going to say does kind of, completely cover up the George Pickens injury, but it sure does help. That was a big boost. I'm not going to say it's an even swap, but it's pretty darn close.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not as much worried about the George Pickens deal because I know George Pickens is a hell of a receiver. He's a one-of-a-kind, top-tier athlete. Georgia had 2-star receivers out here beating Florida's ass every year.
Yep.
Georgia had 2-star receivers beating Auburn. So now that we have 5 stars all over the board, just because we don't have George Pickens, we have him half of the season last year. Because he got, suspended, then he ended up getting hurt.
People forget about that. Yep.
It didn't matter. So people can say that we're basing our year off of George Pickens, but at the end of the day, Georgia's just loaded. And I think as Georgia fans, we expect, national championship or bust. But in my eyes, you got to take out Saban before you can say anything.
Yes.
And now that we get to play Clemson the first game of the year, we have a chance of playing Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban in the same year and have a chance at actually beating them. How many teams can say they have a chance of beating both teams?
Less than 4, I would say.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're very right.
It's crazy. So we have it's kind of depressing because of the team, but is there any hope for my good friend Citrus Aviation, who is a Nebraska fan?
Nebraska is in the same boat as Wisconsin. Nebraska breeds for a living. Like top-notch dog breeders breed dogs. Nebraska breeds offensive linemen to a T. But they have got to step up the receiving core and the defense. And I know it's because these guys get so used to being the top in their conference. But at the end of the day, if you want to take that next step, you've got to reach out to Georgia or Clemson or Alabama's defensive back coach or safeties coach and say, hey, can you come coach our defense? We've got to step it up a notch.
Yes.
But until you do that, until you try to steal one of those top-notch guys, you're just going to stay – you're going to plateau. You're going to stay at that same plateau.
Exactly. So, in my prediction, I have Nebraska limping into a bowl at 6-6. If that were to happen, is that enough hope for Nebraska to keep him? Because I think he's on the chopping block. I really do. But is a 6-6 record getting to a bowl barely, and most of that record getting to a bowl is going to be in the front half of that schedule because the back end of their schedule is brutal. I think I have them losing 4 out of their last 6 games. So it's mostly the front part. So if they go 6-6, limping into a bowl, does Scott Frost stay in Lincoln?
I saw that video from you, and I agree completely. The back half of that schedule is brutal. The best thing that they can do is steal one of those 4 games.
Yes.
They can steal one of those games because I know that they're supposed to lose 4, but if you can get hot in the first half of the season and steal one, the whole point is we're trying to win on recruiting. If you're going to go 6-6 or 7-5 or 8-4, you don't have much to play for except building for the next year.
Right.
So,
and people don't realize that and that's what happened to West Virginia. Fortunately, we got a coach that is good at going out and getting guys to literally believing in building the foundation. Hey, we might not win a national championship. We might not win a conference championship. We might not get to a great bowl while you're here, but you could be known as the start of something great. If you can find people like that who are willing to make that sacrifice to actually be able to start something great, because something great doesn't come out of nowhere. You have to build it. And that's the biggest issue with teams. They're having mild success maybe, barely getting to bowls, is going out and getting high-caliber talent to believe that, you know, they are going to be the building blocks and it's going to be something special.
Now, okay, and this is going to piss a few people off, but a lot of these people will say, oh, well, the NIL doesn't matter, players getting paid doesn't matter. Okay, if that doesn't matter, tell me why some of these players that are at top-notch colleges like Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, still sell drugs to make money.
Exactly.
Because if it wasn't a problem, then they wouldn't need to sell drugs. It's not fun selling drugs. You don't sell drugs and go, yay, everybody, I'm the best drug dealer in the world. No, you sell drugs to make money.
Right.
So if you're telling me now a guy can go to Wisconsin or he can go to Nebraska, teams that make over $100 million a year, and you can say, look, we can put $20,000 in your pocket. We can put $40,000 in your pocket. Your parents live in that beat-up home right there. We can move them into a better neighborhood.
Right.
Legally, why not? Oh, well, you're only going to get that out of 10% of the players. Doesn't matter. We're Wisconsin. We don't get that many players in the first place. So if we mess around and steal a 5-star quarterback because he wants to make money, we'll take it. That is going to be such a huge question mark because there's so many teams that can be able to use the money they make. And I think of teams like Nebraska, Wisconsin, even Notre Dame. Heck, look, don't care if you're Christian or not. On Sundays, if you come up here and you kneel at the altar, boom, that's $10,000 every Sunday.
That's
all these
right.
people got to do is putting your hands together.
And here's the thing. A lot of people don't even realize this, but this NIL thing is not the university paying the players. What this is doing is, and it really blew my mind when all this came out, I did not realize that players were not allowed to make money off themselves.
Yep.
And what this is allowing them to do so they don't have to get a stupid job while trying to keep up their grades and, the football thing, the basketball thing, the baseball thing, the whatever sport thing. People don't realize they have a lot on them already. They have, this is the next level learning along with, a sport. That's tough. So allowing them to make money off their own likeness, that's a huge burden off these players. And that's the real thing that I'm thankful for as far as this thing getting passed. This was much needed, long overdue. I don't think it'll create a discrepancy between universities. Whatever gap is there right now probably will still exist, but I don't think the gap will get bigger. I don't think the problem will get bigger. I think whatever problems exist now, if they don't go away, they'll stay the same. I just don't see it getting worse.
No, agree completely. Example, I am friends with a few players that are on the Georgia roster and
Nice.
like friends with them on Instagram or just, know them in person. And a lot of these guys have started taking advantage of it, whether they're going down to Crystals or, an outfitter's place or a clothing store, and they're getting sponsored by these people. I don't know how much they're making, but my point is none of these players that I've seen go out and get sponsorships are starters.
Right.
Not the ones that I know. There are some that are starters in it. But my point is, if these guys that are fourth string, third string on the roster are out and doing it, imagine how much the first string guys make.
Oh, man. It's going to be crazy, man. That's going to be crazy.
That's definitely how I feel is things are going to change, not crazy, because, players were already kind of getting paid and kind of getting this and that. So I get it. But I think I'm just excited for that aspect of college football because now, as a coach, you can be a businessman.
Yeah.
There's 32 5-stars every year. Now some of these smaller schools are going to be able to steal a 5-star. Think of Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Man, yeah. Huge. And he did well in his first season.
You said what now?
He did well in his first season.
Yeah, and now imagine him going, hey, I'm already invested in these 12 companies, and now they're sponsoring our school. I know we're a small D2 school, but, they're all giving us $100,000 a piece. So if you want to come to my school, I can pay you just.
All right, so we have my good friend Miami Flo. He had me on his show. We talked about West Virginia and Miami recruiting, which I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, my friend. You're a good friend, Miami Flo. But I did predict that Spells was going to pick West Virginia, and that's what happened. But on that note, he is a Miami fan. What do you see for Miami?
Woo! I'm excited about Miami. I know y'all got a transfer from Georgia, Tyreek Stevenson. He ended up winning, basically saving the game for us against Cincinnati. One of the last plays of the game. Miami is so much on the up and up, but they have got to capitalize this year. You guys are in one of the top 3 or 4 states in the nation of recruiting, of guys that go to the NFL every year. Y'all are in that state. And with Florida State having a lot of their transfers and them being on the up and up, Florida State doesn't have to have a better season than Miami to be able to overtake Miami.
Yes.
All Florida State has to do is show a little bit of promise. People are going to choose Florida State over Miami.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with how the program is set up. Miami doesn't have their own home field. Florida State does.
Oh, man, I know. Whenever Miami had the Orange Bowl, they were ridiculously crazy. I'm really hoping – I'm not a Miami fan, but I like tradition, and I like these old powerhouses. Miami, guys, y'all need to build your own stadium. That does not have a home field feel to it at all. Y'all need it. It needs to happen yesterday. That would help with recruiting so much.
Agreed. Because now if I'm a recruit and I'm visiting Miami and it's like, man, I've been on the campus today for 5 hours. This has been a great feeling. All right, can we walk over to the stadium? No, we got to get in our car and drive down the road to the so-and-so stadium down here. And it's like, wait, what? Like, when I'm at Georgia, I'm in their locker room, and I get to go from class to class to class to the lobby, straight to the locker room, and I get to walk out onto the field. That's why a lot of these coaches that are at these bigger schools put so much into facilities. Yep. That's the number one thing that brings recruits. So, like Jeremy Pruitt, he's an asshole. Nobody likes him, but when he came to Georgia and he was our defensive coordinator, he's the reason that we started building our indoor facility. Mark Richt hated him. The staff hated him. The Booster Club hated him.
Yeah.
But when Kirby got here, that was the only person that he thanked was Jeremy Pruitt for building that indoor facility, because he knows. Jeremy Pruitt coached under Nick Saban. You know that's what it takes, because when it's cold, players don't want to practice outside. You know, it doesn't – nobody cares what they say. Oh, it'll make you tougher, blah, blah, blah. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You want to win a national championship, you got to get the players to come to your school.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I need to give a quick message to my mods. Just make sure whenever you're monitoring the chats, as long as it's not racial and they're not getting personal, let it go. Cussing, fine. People cuss. It happens. This is an adult show. As long as they're not being, racist or taking personal shots, let it go, because we don't want to get too political in here. Nobody's in trouble or anything like that. I just need my mods to know to have a lot of leeway with these conversations, because cussing does happen. It's a part of everyday life. But the thing that I really kind of keyed in on with Miami, I didn't even realize it until you said it just now. These players that play for the Hurricanes, they can't walk from the practice facility to their stadium like that. It is an actual trip for them, an actual car trip. Whenever I actually think about it, that makes no sense to me.
Well, it kind of rubs you the wrong way, like it kind of, if I'm a recruit, an example, for a little bit of time, I went to a school in mid-Georgia in Atlanta that is a top-notch school. They're probably one of the top 10, maybe 12 high schools in the nation. It's called Buford High School, and out of the last maybe 13, 14 years, they've made 11 state championships. They're up there with Grayson High School. That's in Georgia. It's a big school as well. Well,
I've heard of that school.
When I was there for a year and a half, and after being there a little over a year, I received my first scholarship, and I averaged about a snap and a half a game. But it's because in practice, I was going against D1 competition guys that were signed to the next level. They had just created that type of atmosphere. And for us, we had 2 practice fields. And then on Thursday, before the game, we'd go practice on the game field. We'd have to get there every single day. And I was very curious. So I would just ask coaches, look, like when they would talk to me, when do y'all work out? Do you work out in the morning? Do you work out in the afternoon? What do y'all look like? And there were only a few schools that told me, well, we play at this school, it's an actual stadium. It's down the road. It's a semi-pro stadium, blah, blah, blah. And even though I was a small recruit, it still rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's not convenient for me. I didn't have a car. My parents were not rich. So the thought of having to ask for a ride every single day, it turned me off.
Yeah, that is a big factor that people overlook when it comes to Miami recruiting. That is an uphill battle that they're fighting against. And that's why people wonder, Miami's a good brand. It's the U. Sure, they don't have some of the swagger that they used to have, but, they shouldn't be having this much trouble recruiting. And they're getting better, but that trip from the practice facility to the actual stadium, I guarantee you, is on the top of the list as far as what turns recruits off. They have got to build a stadium on campus. That needs to be done ASAP.
No, dude, that's it. This might sound political. I hope it's not. There are more players that don't have money than there are players that do have money.
Yep.
There are players that choose to stay home and go from home to school because they don't want to pay for dorm rooms and they don't want to pay for on-campus living.
Yeah.
So now imagine a school telling you, hey, dude, no problem. Look, you won't have to drive anywhere. Plus, like Georgia, the thing that they do, and I know it's because I'm a Georgia fan, I keep up with them more. Georgia, every day, they send home about 3 to-go plates full of food with their players.
That is awesome.
That way they don't have to buy them food.
Yes, that is awesome.
And that's going to make a player commit.
And so, what about this question? How can Miami ever be a college town if their stadium is not even where the university is? And isn't that one of the biggest things whenever, you're trying to showcase your university? You want to show them how much of a college town, how much the people support you and all that stuff. How can that ever happen in Miami if the stadium is not even where the university is?
Dude, and that's a perfect point. Back in 2000 when Miami was really, really good, it's because you didn't have social media. One, you didn't have social media to be able to see other schools. And 2, you didn't have social media for schools to be able to see you, schools that were far away.
Right.
So if you lived in Florida, you were thinking Florida State, Miami, or Florida. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, social media's out there, so people are poaching the hell out of Florida. They're coming in stealing DBs left and right because Florida is the state of DBs.
It is.
They're known for. So, and it's another thing. I have a kid that I train, a kid that I personally train. He chose D2 school that is in town literally because of the convenience. Because he could stay at home and still go play and still have a chance to try to go to the next level, all because he wanted to go from home to school. He didn't want to have to stay on campus. He didn't want to have to pay for a small 4x4 room that you can barely turn over and touch the other wall.
Yep.
He wanted to be able to come from home. It's a convenience. So I think if you're Miami, one, you have got to upgrade the dorm rooms.
Yes.
2, you've got to upgrade not just the facilities, but you've got to upgrade the whole food program, the nutrition program.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, you've got to put a campus. You got a campus. It's not even just about the football players. If I go to the University of Miami and I just got done with my class and I'm thinking, boom, there's a football game going on, I could walk to the stadium, I'm definitely going. There's a bunch of people walking. But if I got to drive 5-10 minutes in traffic that's going to take me 25-30 minutes, hell no, I'm going home.
That makes me salute the student section. I know they don't show up in the student section. I salute you. That is a drive, and That means you are very committed. All right, so I don't want this to take forever. I got Uncle Lou in the morning. I got to wake up. But I got two more teams that I saw in the chat, okay? First one, Michigan.
Oh. Okay, this is touchy. Michigan will not be anything until they fire Jim Harbaugh.
I agree. I think he is a professional NFL coach, not a college coach. I agree.
I think in the college you have to get players to buy in. He's not good at getting players to buy in. In the NFL, guys play for money.
Right.
So it's not about buying in. Now, granted, the NIL may change that, but I don't think it's going to change it enough to get him to keep his job. I think he is a professional bullcrapper.
Well,
I think he's somebody that is good in front of the camera, but
yes.
I think players believe in him enough to commit, but not enough to stay.
I don't think the NIL will change that much at Michigan, and it's right here, what I'm about to say. He does not connect to younger people. He is an old school guy. Yes, he is committed to working hard, and he wants you to work hard as well, as hard as he does, if not more. But he, for whatever reason, I don't know his true personality, but maybe he has an abrasive personality or something, but he cannot connect with young kids that are in college. He just...
What turned me off from Jim Harbaugh, and at first I thought this was a neat deal, but what turned me off from Jim Harbaugh, I found out that this guy spent the night. It was a punter, one of the top punters in the nation. He spent the night in the punter's bedroom, like with him. Stayed the night at his house, spent the night with him. So they stayed up watching Space Jam 1 and, Looney Tunes or whatever. But this dude literally stayed the night there, and of course the punter committed. But that's the difference between Kirby and Saban and all these other guys. They don't have to do that.
That's true.
They don't have to stay the night at your house to make you want to commit to their program, and that's where Jim Harbaugh doesn't understand. It's like he got to college, and he's treating these kids like 8th graders.
Exactly,
he's trying
man.
to make them happy. That, like I said, that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, we're gonna leave Michigan with this because I really don't want to spend much time on them. The thing with Michigan is, number one, he can't connect to their level, and number two, he seems like a bad sportsman. Like, he seems like a spoiled brat that happens to be a head coach. Maybe I'm totally off, and he's not like that, but when the stuff that I've seen him, his press conferences, the way he acts on the sideline, the post-game handshake, any of that stuff, especially if he loses because of his decision, the Michigan State punt fiasco, I remember that, and it just seems like he's a spoiled brat whenever he loses.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's almost to the extent of Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
But Dan Mullen is a better offensive coach. That's why Dan Mullen has kept his job.
Exactly. I think that's a mistake for Florida, though, because last year Florida had one of their greatest, in my opinion, I think they had one of their best offenses ever. Definitely in the past 20 years, and they still ended up with 4 losses. I know certain circumstances, only half the team played, and then the shoe throw in LSU, the shoe throw, that falls on the coach. So I think they should keep him as an offensive coordinator, but I don't think he's a very good head coach at Florida. He did great at Mississippi State, don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, not doing as well as I thought he would at Florida.
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. Hit me with the last one then. I know you said you had another team.
Oh, yeah, I'm saving the best for last. I'm talking about Texas.
Ooh, man. Okay, so
flag me. I'm doing horns down. Flag me right now. I'm doing it.
That's what I was going to say is the fact that is even anything, away from their whole program, that one aspect has probably turned so many recruits away from that whole entire thing. Like Georgia Tech, when Georgia Tech beat Georgia, they went over and ripped off pieces of the hedges at Georgia, at the stadium, and had it in their mouth taking pictures.
Yeah.
You didn't hear Georgia going, "Oh no, let's make them, let's penalize them for like shut. It's a game. If you get beat, accept the L.
And that's
if you don't want them to rip hedges off, don't get beat.
Exactly. And you made a good point earlier. I think this is going to completely backfire on Texas. They're acting like, this will make people stop disrespecting us, and it really rubs us the wrong way, and, we go to bed crying at night whenever people do the horns down. But really what's happening is recruits are seeing this and are like, man, this is such a whiny school. Why do I want to go there? Instead of what Texas was hoping for is we want these recruits to see that we have a lot of heritage, and we are proud of our school, that we don't even want people disrespecting us with the horns down. It's going to have the total opposite effect, and kids will be like, yeah, I'm going to pass on the whiny school.
Yes, exactly. Like, no, dude, that's my whole point is the thing with Texas, they definitely lucked up. They got him a good coach. I know they got Steve Sarkisian. Sorry, I call him Drunkisian because he got fired from USC in the past for being drunk at practice.
Yep.
And then the rehab school of the year of the nation is Nick Saban.
Alabama.
He always takes the coaches. Yeah, exactly. So whenever he got fired from USC, I knew he was a good coach, but you know what? Steve Drunkisian sounds so much better than Sarkisian. Now that he's at Texas, I think that he's trying to build something, and I know he's said a few words that might try to act like, they're a little harder than they really are. But like you said, this kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
This kind of ruined the whole, hard-ass mentality of, well, we're Texas, we're bringing Texas back. It's like, dude, you're more worried about what people do as far as gestures than you are about your football team. Like, you rubbed people the wrong way more than Jim Harbaugh rubbed that punter when he spent the night with saying horns down.
Yeah. It wasn't even a big deal until West Virginia did it that one game against Texas in Austin, and that's when it really blew up. Next thing you know, it's in writing. If you do horns down in a play. Look, that rule already exists. Unsportsmanlike conduct has always been a 15-yard penalty. You've never been allowed to go up into somebody's face and flip them off or do a disrespectful sign or a racial slur, anything like that. That has always existed. So the fact that you went out of your way and said, for example, horns down, well, we already knew that, but now you're going to make the opposing teams do it more, especially their fans.
Well, you know what it is. Texas is probably the highest money-making college football team in the nation. I know they don't win a lot, but the thing is, Texas had their own network, their own TV network back in the day. Literally their own. It wasn't like SEC or ABC or NBC. They had their own network. So they made a lot of money, and now they're just kind of using their money to,
exactly.
They're kind of being a bitch about it.
I think it's close as far as richest schools. I would say between Notre Dame and Texas. I think they're right up there with each other.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I know we said that was the last one. I do want to touch on this school too. Somebody just said about Arkansas. To me, Arkansas is the team to look out for.
Yes, agreed.
And that's because of their coach. He came from Georgia. He made our offense 1,000 times better than what it was. He knows how to actually mix stuff up and not seem predictable. And this year at Arkansas, he surprised a lot of people by winning more than 4 games.
Okay, so that I'm in the mood right now. So, hot take right now. I think Arkansas. I'm not gonna be bold enough and say they'll win it, but I think within 3 years, Arkansas will be contending for the SEC West. The question will turn into, will they be able to beat Alabama? Because I think they'll get to that second spot with relative ease. So the question will be kind of like the question we asked Georgia and Florida and every other team. Will they have that year, say like LSU, where they can, and Auburn, where they can beat Alabama that one year, win the West, and get to the playoffs? Because I'm telling you, I see Arkansas shooting up the SEC rankings quickly. This year, I have them going to a bowl. I think I have them in 4th place, but they'll probably be the best 4th place team in the nation. But a couple years from now, they're going to be a contender.
Yeah, well, and this is another thing, too, that we forget. They don't have to beat Alabama. They could lose to Alabama and win every game on their schedule and
That's
still
true.
make it to the playoffs because they're taking the top 8.
Exactly. There you go.
You know what
there
I
you
mean?
go.
And it's hard to beat a team twice.
Especially,
So if Alabama beats Arkansas by 7 or 14 and then they play them again, you know.
yeah.
No, I get where you're going with that. And Auburn is at a low point. LSU is at a low point. If you're Arkansas or Texas A&M, now is the freaking time to strike.
Yeah,
Right.
and I
Whether
think
it's
Arkansas
recruiting
can make the
or
playoffs
whatever.
whenever they expand to 12 teams too. People have kind of that topic has kind of cooled down a little bit, but they're going to pass that, and I think it's going to be in 2023, and that might be exactly. I'm talking great timing when Arkansas gets red hot. So a one-loss Arkansas, whose only loss was to Alabama, I think they get in the playoffs in a 12-team format.
Yeah, exactly. And Alabama will be a top 3 team at that time. So it's like, well, the only team we lost to was the top 3.
And think about this: they could end up hosting a playoff game in Arkansas.
Wow.
But the
Wow, yeah.
question will be, which stadium will they pick?
Well, and the way that playoff deal is working, think about them playing Alabama in the first 2 or 3 games. Yeah, you might be a top 20 team or top 15. You lose to Alabama, you get put back down to 18. Well, if you win the next 9 games,
Yeah.
you're going to be in the top 10 or top 7. You're not playing Alabama again.
Well,
Not even in the SEC championship.
you know why I said that? You know Arkansas has 2 home stadiums. That's why I said the big question will be, which stadium does Arkansas play or choose to play their first playoff game in?
I didn't know.
Yeah, they have their regular stadium in Fayetteville, and then they still have War Memorial in Little Rock, and they're still in contract, I guess, with that stadium for whatever reason. I think they play like 2 games there every year, so I'm pretty sure they wouldn't play that for a playoff game, but I just thought that was a funny little joke I could make on them. It's hilarious. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm about to get off here. I got to wake up early and get on Lou's nerves in the morning.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you having me on, dude. It was fun tonight.
Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
Guys, I'm a new and upcoming, I'll say, YouTuber. By the way, Golden Blue Dude, I just passed 200 tonight. I'm
Awesome.
at like 205, I think, before I called on.
I think I was number 200. I really think so.
Well, I appreciate you. You guys can find me at Tiger Baskins YouTube. I do a lot of basketball and highlights, and I just put up a new rap video if you guys want to see that. That was pretty cool. It's pretty neat, but overall, Golden Blue Dude's a cool dude, and I think that you guys are going to see more of me and him in the future, so I look forward to this college football season, and that's it. Tiger Baskins is out.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, don't forget to check me out tomorrow on Lou's show, all right?
Yes, sir, I will, for sure.
All right, man. Have a good night, man. That was my good friend Tiger Baskins. I kind of devoted this particular live show to him, so I called it a call-in, but it technically wasn't because it was just for him. But tomorrow, I will open the phone lines to everybody. So, once again, I still have a part-time job. Not sure what time I'll get off. I'll be on either 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. If I'm not on at 9, just wait till 10. You won't have to, wait, will he come on at 9:15? No, just wait till 10. I'll be on then. And don't forget to check out tristatewoodsketch.com. If you mention that